Hi, I'm Dan Herlash, lecturer from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, College of Business and Economics. And I wanted to put this video on here about selling and virtual presentations using WebEx. I think this is very important to know some things. And right now, I'm like a close talker. It's like I'm this big head, the scientific, the sci-fi head coming out and talking to you, and you don't want that way. So we're going to talk about some tips and things that you can do to make your image a little bit better. Now, I only can work with what God gave me, okay? But you don't want to be scanned back so much that you can see everything, all right? So you can see my wine rack over here, my gun case behind me. You can see baseball bats. I got a rack right here. But, you know, I'm not showing you the pile of junk I got right there because I had to move a lot of things to clean it up, okay? So when you're doing your videos, you want to have a good angle. You want to look fairly neat and clean. You don't want underwear hanging on the back or a beer bottle sitting there half empty. And you want it to be focused on you. Now, for sales competitions, for presentations, you want to be dressed in business casual. You don't want to look like you just got out of bed. Have your hair combed properly. I realize we're all dealing a little bit with needing haircuts and that kind of thing. Be shaved or trimmed properly if you're a man. Put on some makeup. You know, ladies, don't be afraid to do that if that's what you normally do. A little bit of jewelry is fine too. Wear business casual. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily you have to wear a coat. I wear a coat when I'm doing this just because I'm sitting in a basement office and it gets a little chilly sometimes. So sometimes I wear a sweater, sometimes I'm wearing a coat. I'm wearing a coat today because it's business casual. A nice sweater, though, would be business casual as well. Okay, although people might kind of wonder about that as it's getting warmer out. All right, a couple other things is proper attire, being in the right place. Now, some softwares, WebEx doesn't allow it for the desktop app, but they do have it in the for the iPad, you know, for the mobile apps. They do have the ability to blur the background or put different backgrounds in place, which you can do as well. There's even backgrounds you can put out there to make you look like you're sitting in an office. Most people, though, if you get a fairly decent looking office, and I'm not showing that pile that I piled up over there, yeah, and I got to clean that up. It'll be gone in a few days here. I got to move it. But anyway, if you're not showing those things, it looks presentable. It looks nice, okay? A couple other things, angles, lighting. One of the things that you want to do, I have an overhead, a couple lights on the side, overhead, and then I have a light off to this side, and it's actually like a lamp, and it's a desk lamp, but I faced it so it would be reflecting off the walls to give me a nice even light. You'll see a difference if I turn it off, okay? Everything turns blue, and all of a sudden I get this side light coming in. It's not extreme, but still, this looks a lot better, unless I'm leaning too close to it, okay? If I point it right at me, here's what happens. And I've been in WebEx conferences with people lately where they're actually backlit with a window right behind them, and it's like they're a witness that's being interrogated for something, or trying to be confidential. All you do is put the fuzzy voice on and they're in the shadow. You can't see their face. So you want to have it evenly lit. I think that's very important. Be dressed appropriately for what you're doing. Now, you don't know what I have on underneath this shirt. I could be in my shorts. Doesn't matter. Nobody can see. Okay, I don't. I put some jeans on, but which is business casual for a lot of people. Something you can do, and I notice my coat is kind of buckling up a little bit in the back as I sit, so something you can do is you can actually sit on the back of the coat. That'll keep it straight, by the way, too. That's just a little trick. So anyway, you want to also adjust the camera up and down. You don't want it so, we've all seen the views where you see the top of their head and it looks like this, okay? Because they're looking at the lid on their laptop. You want to adjust it so that you have a good angle. If you have to set it up on a box, set it up on a box. Okay, so it looks good. The other thing is you want to zoom in a little bit. You don't want to be all the way out. And I'm just going to adjust this up a little bit and down. Okay. But you want to be a comfortable distance. You know, about like this is starting to get, it's okay. It's okay. But this is probably, if you were sitting across from somebody, this would probably appear to be a comfortable distance. You want to have your head, if you notice, I'm going to put the cursor here, this is the halfway mark, okay? Now, my eyes aren't halfway, and people tend to do that. So they tend to set it so that the eyes are like this. Well, what happens? Okay, you see the ceiling, a lot of the ceiling. So what you want to do is you want to set it so that your eyes are about a third of the way up. You can still see the top of your head. There's some clearance there. That's important. I'll see I moved and then my coat got let go. That's a little trick that they teach people in broadcasting, I guess. But anyway, you want your eyes at about the third level. It's the rule of thirds in photography. Okay, and if you notice, I'm actually sitting just a hair off to one side, not right smack in the middle. I can, or I can go on the other side if I want, but I'm moved off just a hair. It's a little bit more pleasing, visually pleasing, if you're not exactly centered on the screen. And it's a little bit less intimidating as well. When you meet somebody for the first time, it's proper to use what they call the head nod. So, hi, Mrs. Smith. I'm Dan Herlash. Nice meeting you. And they'll introduce themselves back in the same way. You don't take your hand and shake it or anything like that, or, oh, air hug. Don't do anything like that. But just also try not to talk too loud or lean into the mic, because then it gets really loud and it kind of blasts everybody away. Make sure you have a good clear mic. If you are relying on a small little microphone on your computer, get an external microphone if you can, something that you can set up next to it. That would help. Some people are using the iPods. It looks a little weird because you have the, or the earpods, AirPods, I think they're called, because you have these little tubes coming out and it looks like maybe you just got back from the doctor and there's still cotton stuck in there. But you know what? They're really effective and they sound great. I sometimes use a headset with a microphone, but you know, then you look like, you know, your air traffic control. You know, but it has a boom mic. I've got a big head, so if I use this earpiece, like a Bluetooth mic, it kind of echoes. It's pretty hollow in there. Anyway, so just some little tips for your appearance. Now, in sales competitions, we've instructed the judges not to judge if you have problems with your technology, and because that can happen. But we have told them to pay attention if you're practiced. Are you practiced? Oh, that's the other thing. I find myself looking here at the screen, and actually I should be looking right here. I should be looking right there, because that's you, looking right in your eyes. Okay, so know where the camera is and look at the client, not your picture. Look at the client. All right, be prepared to share the screen, and when you share the screen, make sure that you're ready, so that whatever materials you have up, you're ready to show. It's already maybe down on your screen on the bottom on your taskbar, so you just got to click on it and click share screen, and you can get to it very quickly. So we've told judges in sales competitions and presentations to see if the people are practiced with the technology. Again, don't dock you if you have a problem. Some other quick little tips too is close out a whole lot of the extra programs that you have running. Okay, get rid of them. A lot of them take up bandwidth, and bandwidth is really, really important. If you want to do a little trick when you get into a WebEx, click on call, have the computer call me, so call in. And what you can do is you join it, and you have the video, but call in on the phone. And depending upon your reception and what kind of phone you're using, a landline, it works fantastic. You get much better audio, and you save on bandwidth. If you're using a VPN, I hate to say it, but turn off the VPN. VPN squeeze down that bandwidth. So if you can get rid of that VPN, that really helps as well. Okay, so those are just some tips. Close the extra things, close other wireless devices. If you have roommates and you're doing something really important, ask them to just take the wireless off their cell phones for just a little while. Hopefully they have some good data plans. I have a wireless printer here, and I close the wireless on the days of competitions because I don't want that to interfere. Unfortunately, I can't close the rest of my wireless because my wife is working upstairs, right above me, and she has everything on her wireless as well because she's working and has to communicate with people at work. So it's challenging. Fortunately, we have a real good connection here, and I hooked up to an Ethernet line. That's another little trick. I hooked up to my router with an Ethernet cord rather than the wireless transmission. It's faster. It's better. So I have it taped up right now. You can't see it, but it's going across my ceiling, right on the wall at the top at the ceiling. And I taped it up there so I wouldn't trip over it. And it's a long cord, but it runs from my router, which is across the room, all the way to my desk here, and plugs into my computer. And it just gives me a better signal. So little tips and tricks, things that will help you when you're doing these things. And I hope you find it useful. Thanks.